You know, Talk Radio Network, probably the second or third largest radio syndicator, went dark last week, off the air. Clear Channel is bankrupt. But the big banks, the big brokerage firms that helped consolidate the radio industry the last 15 years, they've already moved on from that. And I tell you, it's pretty creepy to see talk radio imploding and melting down all over the United States, something that top management of the globalists has been pushing for. I know a lot of inside baseball, but I'm not allowed to tell. But people better appreciate the talk radio that they do here. In fact, it was, about 6 months ago, we got the word that there were moves to shut off basically all libertarian and conservative talk on XM. But because it's been so popular, there's been internal fights with their program directors and people not to do that. But I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, Genesis, the GCN Radio Network with over 1,400 affiliates, one way or another, I've got over 160 of them, is pretty much all there's left that's somewhat independent. There's Clear Channel on the verge of imploding, and it's got a lot of great people on it. Like, well, I'm not even going to get into it anymore. The point is that I was just thinking about that during the break. I haven't even talked about that. It is such a crazy world. And again, it was a bubble. How much stations cost? By some of the big boys coming in the last 20 years, 15 years really, and buying stations for more than they were worth and consolidating them and creating monopolies and running stations at losses to bankrupt the other local stations to create monopolies. Now the stations cost so much to run with the government fees and licensing and the economy in the toilet with advertising. And then the cost, again, of just to buy the stations and then to finance the debt on the stations, that it is going to be a completely different landscape in just another year. And I will continue to be here. Because we're not owned by some foreign banking cartel. We're just here. Our mission is to get the word out and fight the globalist. Our mission is to try to avert World War III. Our mission is to defend the Bill of Rights and Constitution, not join all the kleptocrats in just some mad race. To make a buck as quick as you can and then watch the whole world burn. By the way, I'm going back to your calls, but speaking of Syria, Russia to push Syria to surrender chemical weapons, and Syria welcomes international control over chemical weapons. By the way, this is being called new news. Syria offered a year ago and again a few months ago to turn their chemical weapons over, and the Russians have had troops at the chemical weapons bases. So all they're doing is announcing what's already been done. They saw the frame-up coming a year ago and brought the Russians in. But we have guys in fancy suits that get up there and tell us, oh, no. Didn't you know? Bashar Assad launched that chemical attack. Now Kerry, who cares about the children, actually, he cares about diverting everyone from all the giant scandals, the biggest of which is Obamacare. I'm here to announce that I've thought about the NSA, I've thought about Benghazi Gate, I've thought about the persecution of the Tea Parties, the persecution of journalists, the whistleblowers, the list goes on and on. But you know why the public's really waking up and doesn't buy this war? Out of all the different reasons, and there's a bunch, the biggest one is that all of these high school, college students, but also the working poor, people getting paid $7, $8, $9, $10 an hour, they all saw their payroll taxes go up. They saw the other 7 taxes that are on Obamacare. They're getting the letters now saying they got to buy health care for at least $5,000 a year. That's up to a third of what they're paid a year. They're going bankrupt. 2 jobs aren't enough. And they're all being told, you don't get 40 hours a week. You'll certainly never get overtime again. You're going to 20 hours. I was at Barton Springs, a giant dammed up natural spring, and I had a lifeguard come over to me and say, oh my gosh, they just cut everybody from 40 hours to 20. And they're even cutting the managers back to 20. Even though it says 30, they're just cutting us down to 20. And they're just hiring more people. And I tried to warn them about Obamacare, and then I had another lifeguard come over and tell me about it. Because they all got the word. I was wondering why the last time I was there was all these new lifeguards. Well, that's the new thing. You get 4 hours a day. Do you like your Obamacare? And with that money you get, that little bit of money, you got to go buy health care now, that now is run by the insurance companies that wrote it, where you don't even get the health care. The doctors aren't allowed to do the test or the things they think need to be done. And I know everybody already knows this in this audience, but now to see it happen. Obama phone lady, when she was here, she saw this year when it kicked in, her taxes went up. As a maid, Obama phone lady works. And she had a hope. Her American dream was Obama was going to give her a house, a car. And when she was here, this is video that hadn't been seen yet. It's going to be an Obama deception, too. She literally had tears in her eyes. She goes, I believe he's going to give me a house and a car. Folks, what he gave you was a tax increase, honey. And man, that's what makes me so mad about these people is they know they're conning people. They get off on it. I know that con artists look in Obama's eyes and Kerry's eyes. They're predators. To them, it's funny. That's why I'll imitate them and laugh at you and laugh at us when I talk about this, is to show you what they really think. It's all a big joke. But just like people I currently know, I go, that's a scam. That somebody that knows somebody's going to give you a job working for a rock band, and the people have their bags all packed, ready to go meet, and I go, you're going to get a call. They're going to need more money that the rock band isn't ready to meet with you. And then they get the call, and they go, well, that's just because they're busy. I have to pay them more money now. And I'm like, no. It's a con game. And they're like, you're just jealous that I finally made it. I know people get the Nigerian email, and they go, listen, this is a true story. I'm with Mike Judge, the creator of Beavis and Butthead, Idiocracy, you name it. King of the Hill. We like to go out sometimes and, go out and hear. He likes the same music as me, kind of rockabilly stuff, blues. He's a great musician in his own right. So we go to this dive bar in East Austin. And, well, I got there before he got there to meet him. This is a few months ago. And everybody goes, oh, the Nigerian ambassador is here. Everyone's, oh, the Nigerian. And I went, oh, my gosh. And here pulls up the old Cadillacs and an old Mercedes, and people getting out, acting all powerful, posing. It's what the politicians do. And everyone's sort of bowing down, basically, in this mainly black bar we're in. And I watch him go around, everyone begging, oh, he'll let you invest if you're cool enough, but he's just handing out his card. You get to meet with him. And I was telling people, I go, that's just a physical Nigerian scam now on the ground. No, he's actually a prince. And I mean, it was like Coming to America, Eddie Murphy, like guys with like lion hats on and stuff or whatever. And I couldn't help anybody, including the white yuppies that were there. I mean, by the time Judge got there, he was the ambassador was gone. Wasn't the ambassador. It was a total con game. And I went and looked it up, found out there is now a physical Nigerian scam. If you show up in a crown, you become the king of England. I mean, North Korea, I expect him to start wearing crowns, because in a narcissistic world where people worship status, we're the opposite of that, going to some dive bar to hear good blues music. The point is that even there, I can't get away from the narcissistic Looney Tune land that the world has now become. And just the scams are going on every angle. And these women I know that demand their fiance, you're going to have to take out a loan, even though her family's supposed to pay for it. They're dumb enough to. My wife and I, even though we had some money in the bank and things, when we got married 13 years ago, guess how many people were at our wedding? About 8 people. Went and stayed at the Driscoll, had a good dinner, went and got married by a preacher that day. That was it. Went on a vacation later. I think everything might have cost, including the vacation, like $6,000 or something. because we were just married. That's our relationship. And I only had a few friends there and my parents and some of her family, and that was it. Because it was all about not being stressed out and just having a good time. But let me tell you, most people I know now get divorces within a few months after the bigger the wedding. I've seen people that have had like $300,000 weddings, and especially when they don't have money, and they get everybody to go into hock to pay for it. It's this big narcissistic trip. They're divorced a month later. They're annulled a month later. I mean, I've been made to go to these weddings. Like, I won't go to a big wedding now. And I go to them, and I'll tell my wife, I go, this is going to be over in about a month. I'm going to a wedding of people worth hundreds of millions of dollars in a couple of weeks. Actually, this weekend. And guess what? They're having a small ceremony and a dinner, and that's it. By the way, really rich people don't wear diamonds, folks. They wear other really precious stones because they know it's all a big con game. I mean, I sit there and I look at the general public, and I see just the false reality they're living in, and they really think that they're like making it by buying into it, and it's all giant bear traps meant to rip your legs off. The messages you see in mainstream media are meant to con you and destroy you, and they're the same thing as the Nigerian email where Prince Abubi is going to give you $14 million if you send him $5,000. You're like, listen, that's a scam. You're just mad because the prince, wants to meet with me.
Now you can watch the INFOWARS Nightly News streaming live as it happens for free.
Check it out at INFOWARS.com/show.